a discussion about the impact on defense and veteran spending in the debt ceiling deal. Today, June 5th, 2023. Good morning, Early Birds. I'm Jonathan Lehrfeld, and this is the Early Bird Brief, produced by Defense News and Military Times. Today, podcast producer and Military Times reporter Zimone Perez talked with Capitol Hill Bureau Chief Leo Shane III about the recent deal to raise the debt ceiling and avoid an unprecedented national default. A quick note, this podcast was recorded Friday, June 2nd, so some other developments may have occurred over the weekend.
So, Leo, thank you for joining us on the podcast today.
Thanks for having me.
Why is the debt ceiling so important? It seems like it's been all that's been in the news for the past few weeks and even month.
Yeah, look, this has been the big story, and it's overtaken quite a few other issues. It actually delayed consideration of the defense appropriations bill, the annual defense authorization bills. This has sort of sidelined all other work on Capitol Hill. And it's solved now. The concern was if the country hit the debt ceiling, the federal agencies would not have the money to issue any new checks. So we're talking about potentially delaying or defaulting on veterans benefits checks, troops paychecks, civilian workers paychecks, all sorts of problems. So that's why it was all encompassing. That's why the focus was on it. And frankly, the negotiations of how to solve this between the White House and House Republicans involved a lot of discussions about what's the proper level of funding for defense going ahead, what's the proper level of funding for veterans issues, and how can other government programs be reined in. So not directly a defense and veterans issue, but one that really just overtook everything and did have a lot of potential effects for our communities.
What did we avert by coming to an agreement?
Well, those checks should still go out. I mean, everyone should still get their paychecks, that was the big concern. There's some more ethereal effects of this, talking about the long-term effects on the economy. What would this do to the credit rating of the United States? But really the
destruction of the U.S. dollar.
Exactly, yeah. But the thing that we were focused on, and the thing that I think most military members were focused on, was that issue of would the paychecks go out on time. And it doesn't take a lot to throw military families and disabled veterans into financial turmoil if their checks arrive 2 days, 3 days, a week late. So, by making sure that the Treasury can still keep issuing those checks, we avoided that, we're good to go. And that's why you're seeing a lot of lawmakers patting themselves on the back right now, saying, okay, this was messy, but we did get it done and there was no actual crisis.
So let's move to the actual details of the agreement. How did the Defense Department fare in these negotiations between the Biden administration and Speaker McCarthy?
Yeah, actually, compared to other agencies, Defense Department fared great. While most agencies are going to see a cut, the Defense Department is going to see about a 3% increase in its spending for fiscal 2024. The feeling among conservatives and centrist Democrats was that the defense budget needs to keep increasing. The number of threats overseas has increased. China always presents a threat. Russia, the Ukraine involvement for the United States. So they really pushed to make sure that didn't get cut as other programs were being considered for cost-saving measures. Definitely.
And now to your bread and butter, how did the Department of Veterans Affairs come out on these negotiations? You described it as one of the big winners of these negotiations, correct?
Yeah, look, when we're talking about non-defense programs, that includes veterans. Veterans aren't rolled into the defense side. So when they looked at holding steady on non-defense spending, that was a real concern for the veterans community, because they said we've just had these major increases with the PACT Act, with toxic exposure benefits. We need the extra money to keep pace with that, and there's just general growth in the cost of veterans care. So, but both sides came down, negotiated, and said they will match the president's budget request for this year. It's going to be about a 6% increase. Only about 2% of that is discretionary. All that means for your listeners is that, there's not going to be a ton of new programs, but benefits will keep pace with inflation. The cost of medical care will keep pace. So when you're looking at this as a whole, the defense and veterans community should be pretty happy with the deal that was negotiated. Not only does the debt limit increase and everything's okay, but their agencies are going to see financial increases next year, while most other agencies are going to see cuts or at best held flat.
Of course, like anything in Congress, it didn't get by without some opposition, some concerns expressed by lawmakers.
Yeah, look, I just told you that the defense budget is going to go up by about 3%. Still quite a contingent of lawmakers who say, well, that's not enough. We're going to have to talk about a defense supplemental going ahead. We're going to have to find some way to add even more money in because there are these extra threats, because Ukraine could continue to be an area where we have to invest money. So there's some real push and pull on this now. It's nobody was really totally happy with the compromise, but the feeling was, okay, we're reining in government spending and we still have a responsible target for the Defense Department. Your defense hawks on Capitol Hill are saying, yeah, but 3% doesn't really keep up with inflation. And your progressives are saying, yeah, that 3% is still way higher than most other agencies are getting. So we don't need to go even further than that. But that's going to be a conversation to watch through the summer and into the fall. Is this $880 billion or so target that is lined up in the defense in the debt limit package for defense? Is that actually where appropriators are going to land and how much they're going to spend? Or is this going to be even higher? Is there going to be a push to get even more money in? At which point does that take money away from other programs? And does that take money away from those debt savings issues that Republicans had pushed for in the first place?
We'd be remiss if we didn't say this is the largest defense budget ever sent forth by Congress.
It always goes up. Defense budget never seems to get cut back. The defense budget goes up. There are a lot of legitimate threats. There are a lot of legitimate needs, but especially for folks outside the defense community, they look at that side always going up and domestic programs getting cut and say, why can't we get in on some of that? If we're going to keep doing this, if we're going to keep raising the defense budget, don't we need more spending on domestic issues as well?
Yeah, and how does Ukraine aid play into this? Like Congress last year, the war in Ukraine began, they passed $100 billion in military aid to be sent to Ukraine, and that was outside of the confines of the defense appropriations bill. So is that kind of what lawmakers are saying? There might need to be a defense supplemental added to the appropriations bill?
Yeah, that's one of the big things. Ukraine is the one they're looking at, and they're saying we're sending lots of money, we're sending a lot of equipment. There's still a lot of support for that, but folks are saying, hey, if that's going to start eating into what our defense level spending deal is here, that's going to become untenable. Now the Ukraine money is going to start to cut into U.S. military readiness or into U.S. military recapitalization of equipment. So these supporters are saying, look, if we're going to keep doing that, and we think we should, we need to start handling that outside of the rest of the budget process. But again, this money all comes from somewhere. It hasn't grown on a tree on Capitol Hill yet. So if they're doing a supplemental, that cuts into the U.S. debt. It's further debt. It's further, or if they want to get savings, you've got to cut from somewhere else. And right now, there's no appetite to cut even deeper into non-defense or cut even deeper into veteran spending just to pay for that. So we'll see. It's as with a lot of things in Congress, just because there's a deal and just because it seems settled doesn't mean there's still not going to be plenty of funding fights in the months to come.
Yeah, and just one last question. What are some not stateside, but more U.S.-centric military issues that these defense hawks are concerned? What are they saying is at risk with the negotiated defense budget?
Look, a lot of it is just general readiness and equipment things. The United States is still trying to rebuild some of its equipment stores and ammunition stores from Afghanistan. Some equipment has been sent over to Ukraine. There's just general training too. As we've seen inflation costs go up, that increases fuel prices. That cuts down on the number of hours that pilots can go out and fly and train. So it's a mix of different things. We'll start to see more specifics as the respective armed services committees in the House and the Senate really start to iron out their plans for the defense authorization bill, and as the appropriations committees iron out their budget plans for next year. As each group starts to set its priorities, we'll see where some of these gaps are. Does it mean fewer ships are being built? Does it mean fewer planes are being built? Or does it mean there's plenty of time for that, but there's not as much time for training? Or there's not as much money for rising medical costs for military families? So these are all the things that need to be balanced. It's if you can always ask for more money, you're always going to ask for more money and see about it. But as they make those decisions, we'll get a clearer picture of whether or not these are gaps that can be filled or can be glossed over, and whether or not there's going to be congressional support to give more money to fill them.
Definitely. Well, Leo Shane III, thank you for joining us on the podcast today.
No, it's great. Always more work to do. So we'll be talking about this again soon.
That's it for us this morning. To get more of the top stories and breaking news, go to defensenews.com/EBB to subscribe to the Early Bird Brief newsletter. Please give us a like, rating, and a comment wherever you get your podcasts, and be sure to follow us on social media at @defense_news and at Military Times. The Early Bird Brief is hosted by me, Jonathan Lehrfeld, and produced by Zimone Z. Perez. If you liked our conversation today, be sure to check out Leo's work at militarytimes.com. Also, please rate us and leave a comment on whatever platform you use. Our editor-in-chief is Mike Bruce. Have a great day.